Hello, hello, and welcome to Roots and Branches Adoption Stories here on K-Fred Radio. I'm Janet Monroe. I'm a birth mother. I say I am a storyteller, but truthfully, I am a story listener. I believe that every adoption story deserves to be heard, even the painful ones. Today's guest and I had our pre-interview conversation a few days ago, and I cannot stop thinking about what she told me. When we think about adoption, many people picture rescue, they picture love, and they picture the happily ever afters. And sometimes that absolutely happens. But there is another side that many adoptees quietly carry for decades. The feeling of being different, unwanted, or somehow just less than. My guest today is Charmaine. Charmaine was adopted as a baby and believed she was simply part of her family. But at 7 years old, the day her adoptive parents brought home their biological son from the hospital, her father sat her down and told her she was adopted, told her she was not real. And then they told her that they would never speak about it again. Imagine hearing those words as a child. Imagine trying to understand what not real means when your entire world suddenly changed in one conversation. Imagine being so traumatized when you didn't even know what trauma was. Today, Charmaine shares how that moment shaped her self-worth, her relationships, and her understanding of love for the rest of her life. She talks about abuse, about bullying, about feeling invisible within her own family, and the long journey toward healing. But most importantly, she shares why adoptees need to be heard, truly heard. This is a difficult conversation at times, but it's an important one. So let's welcome Charmaine to Roots and Branches Adoption Stories. Charmaine, I'm so happy that you came here today, and I am so glad that you want to share your story with us.
Well, thank you for having me.
No problem. So let's start at the beginning. All right. You told me that you were born in BC and that you were adopted there, and then you end up moving to Ontario. So in your first 7 years, what do you remember about the first 7 years of your life?
I don't remember much. My trauma, I don't remember much about my childhood at all. I don't remember much about my life, basically because of trauma. But what I was told was that I was 2.5 when I was adopted. So I was put into the system as soon as I was born, passed around. I was told that my adoptive parents had previously adopted a boy, and they wanted a boy, and the mom came back and took the boy back. So they ended up with me. I don't remember much, except I do remember my mom being pregnant. I called her my mom. I didn't know any different. And I was excited. There was a baby coming, and I remember coming home and from vacation Bible school, and my brother was there, and I was so excited. And then I was asking questions, and did I do this to you? Did I, all these questions. And my dad pulled me aside, and we were on the stairs because there was a whole bunch of people there. And he says, "Come here." And it wasn't nice. It was just an abrupt, "Come here, sit on the stairs." And he goes, "I just need to tell you that this is our son, and you did not come into the world like this. This is our son, and you are not real. We adopted you." And I asked what adopted was. He told me that I was not allowed to talk about it anymore. So I didn't, and I didn't really understand what not real was, but this baby was real, but I wasn't real. So I went out and played with children friends and asked if anybody else was adopted. And no one was. But then all of a sudden I had no friends because I had the cooties. I was adopted and I was pointed at and bullied, and no one talked to me because I was the unwanted one. It seemed like my world changed overnight. People, teachers, it seemed to use this word adoption. I'd never heard of this word before, and then all of a sudden, you're adopted. If you don't do this, if you don't do that, kind of turned into a little bit of a people pleaser, a lot of a people pleaser. I was told that if I didn't do things that I would be sent back, and I didn't know where sent back was. My childhood was very scary. My dad was an alcoholic. My mom, I guess, was doing the best that she could. As I find out later, the cord was wrapped around my brother's throat when he was born, so he had some disabilities growing up. But I don't remember my parents being around. I don't remember a lot. I remember the abuse. I remember being woken up in the middle of the night for no reason, just being pulled out of bed. So today, that's still, I have a problem sleeping, feeling safe. Even now, I'm 58 years old, and it still lingers with me. We were introduced, now I'm going to kind of go back and forth, but every time we were introduced after that, it was, well, he's our real child, and we adopted her, so she's not our real child. So that word real haunted me for years and years and years, even till it still haunts me. I've got to say, the word real. I mean, I know I'm real, but it took a lot to figure this out.
So you mentioned at one point that you moved from where you were from that school to another school. And when you went to the other school, you met somebody there who was adopted, and how you felt about that.
I thought it was fantastic. There was somebody else that was adopted. I just heard through the grapevine. I wasn't going to say anything to anybody because I thought this was my new start. No one knew me. I wasn't going to say I was adopted because look at what happened. And then I found this girl who was adopted. But as I watched her, I mean, she had mother-daughter time. Her parents loved her. They cared. And so I thought there was really something wrong with me because this other adopted person that I finally met in my life was treated so wonderfully, and I wasn't. So I took that on, that I must have done something bad. And I used to hear them talk a lot. Whether it was in front of me or behind me, I heard it. Oh, that's because she was adopted. Or that's because of, her mom did this, or her blood mom did that, or because she's adopted. It was always an excuse. That word was constant. It wasn't, oh, wow, we adopted her. It was like a burden, almost like they wanted a medal for it, I was told to be grateful that they have given me this life. Then the abuse started. There was sexual abuse. My father sexually abused me. And I was told that it was okay because he wasn't my father. It wasn't incest. It was totally fine. So that's what I thought love was. I thought love was doing something for someone else. And if I was to tell, then they would send me back. And it was a fear. And I didn't know where back was, but it was like they were doing me a favor, so I had to do them a favor, right? I had to do whatever they wanted because they chose me. And it felt like a punishment.
How did you handle the school when you were going through the bullying and people, when they knew you were adopted? Did you have an answer for those other children that you could say?
No, no, I didn't know because then I would go home, but I wasn't allowed to talk about it. They told me that it hurt them, and that did I enjoy hurting them? It wasn't very nice of me to hurt them. So then I would get smacked or, abused. So I stopped talking about it. I didn't ask. But my teacher, there was a teacher, grade four. I was left-handed, and I had to stay in for recesses, and my hand was tied behind my back, for me to become right-handed because my parents, I was a witch, I was left-handed, I was a witch, I was adopted, and if I told my parents, they would send me back. So the teachers even use this. Like I didn't understand. So I just thought there was something. I was here. I had to be so grateful to these people who adopted me that I had to do anything for them. That was my life.
There are over 6 million adoptees between US and Canada. Would it help more if teachers knew more about it and were able to, if they knew when a child was adopted, to introduce that into the classroom in a more positive way?
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely. Even for parents, to know that we are, and I didn't understand this, until I've started my own healing. But we, we are coming to you traumatized. We are traumatized the moment that we are no longer with our birth mother. You know, um, that's just a fact. And it would have been nice to have some, every now and again I would ask questions when I would get brave. Um, but it would have been nice to know something, to have some information. They must have known, I was going to ask one day, or anyone it would be curious, right? One day.
one day. I was talking to a gentleman the other day who found out at the age of 52 he was adopted and had no
Mm,
idea until then. And then I was talking to another gentleman who says honesty is the best policy. A child should know that he's adopted, he or she is adopted from the time that they can understand it, or the time that they start speaking, right? And I know that
mm,
my son, his adoptive mom, called him my favorite adopted son, always used the word adopted so that he knew he was adopted. His best friend was adopted, probably within the same week that he was. So they had a connection there, and was able to ask questions about why he was so different, the nature versus nurture points. Um, and I really think that finding out younger and going through it and learning as you're going along is probably better than all of a sudden being told at a certain age. You were told at 7. I have someone else who was told at 9, someone else who found out at 12. And it was very traumatic for them, like you, to find out suddenly that you're adopted without any understanding what the actual word means,
yeah.
right? Whereas my son knew from day one, because he was always told that he was adopted, and he was always told that he was adopted because he was loved, and
Yes.
someone wanted something better for him than what they could give him. And his response at
I,
school was, "I have 4 parents," or, "My parents chose me. Your parents didn't have a choice."
yeah.
You know,
Yeah. It messes with you big time. And I mean, you can't go back, but you can educate people going forward. That I wish that there were protocols. I was I wanted to find my birth mother, and it was horrendous. I mean, I wish that there would have been some healing before that, or direction, because we were both hurt. She was 16 when she gave me up. I was a baby, and I turned into a baby when I met her. And she turned into a 16-year-old, I guess. I'm not sure. It just didn't, it went well until it didn't, right? So
Right.
she
So
was
you were
probably,
you stayed with those with your adoptive parents until you were 18, finished school, and
yeah.
then you had the opportunity to leave.
The first boy that paid me any attention, and I left and I moved to British Columbia. And I thought it was going to be great. It was the first time, and I didn't understand it. I just thought it was because I was away from them. I am a very directionally challenged person, and that was the first time. I was never directionally challenged. I was living out in Victoria. It wasn't where I was born, but it was the province I was born in. And I felt so free. Like, if I look back at my life now, oh, I was so free. I felt so good being there. So now I see that, well, that's where I was born. Of course, that's where I felt comfortable, I guess. My body knew. Body keeps the score, right?
So at that point, is that the point in time when you started looking for your birth mom?
I thought that it was kind of fate. So I had put a request in. At that point in time, I was maybe 19, 20 at the time. And at that time, you needed both signatures. You needed the mother and the child to both sign and say that they wanted to be looking. And I put my name in. She didn't. And then I kind of forgot about it. Like it didn't really matter. And then I had children, had a bad divorce. And then I decided, like I need some answers, right? I want some
So
answers.
you married this man from 18 that you moved to BC with?
Yes,
And then you
I
had how
have
many children with him?
2.
Okay.
And that didn't go very, very well. He cheated and left me when I was 6 months pregnant with my second. So that was huge. I loved his family. His parents were the parents I never had. It was wonderful. I was creating my own little special, my special little den, I guess, and it all fell apart. So I was on my own with a baby. I had the baby on my own, and a 4-year-old, and no support from my parents. What I got was, oh, who's going to want you now? Right? And what do you expect us to take care of you? And so I thought there was something wrong with me again. You can't even keep a man, or you can't, it was, there wasn't the positive influence in my life. So it was
Was
a
your
very difficult
husband,
moment.
had you married your father?
Not at that point. Maybe I think my father did cheat. Now that memories are starting to come back as my nervous system is settling down, and some memories are coming back. There's no facts, but I can see what happened. But my second husband, I've been married twice. My second husband was an alcoholic. He abused me. He was not nice. Yes, I married my husband then. And I'm in and out of relationships just to find love for the first person that ever showed anything to you. Failed relationships, and 5 years ago I walked away from an abusive relationship again. And this time that's it. That's when my healing started. And I had really understood how the adoption impacted my life.
All right. So now let's go back to your search for your birth mom. How did that happen and how did that take place?
So I was 41 and I went back to my parents because I'm an adult now. I should be able to ask questions. And so I went and I said, listen, I just want to know. Tell me what you know. I would really like to find her. So they were not on board. So I did it behind their back because I just wanted to know. I just had this urge. So I had to go through the British Columbia in Victoria. I had to hire somebody. You had to pay all this money. They did it for you. It was an adoption search. I found her. I wrote her a beautiful letter telling her, thank you for giving me birth. I'm here. I have children. I didn't tell her I was abused. And then, so we corresponded back and forth. I was a secret. So her husband did not know. A lot of people didn't know I was a secret. But then I found out. Then we did actually meet after correspondence. And then we did I think it was the Skype or whatever on the computer way back when.
Right.
And I felt comfortable enough to go to see her. She was still living in BC at the time. And I went to meet her. It was very, very overwhelming. She took me to the hospital and gave me this pink sweater. And then she drove me back to her, I guess it was her niece's house. And there were all these people. And remember, I just met this woman in real life, right? We've only been over, Skype talking. And this is the first time that I met all these people. And she had a baby shower.
Yeah.
And it was just really weird. We were playing baby games. So I think she was trying to fulfill something that she did not have in her life. But then these people came up to me, and I didn't know who these people were. I just met her, and her sister came up to me with her ex-husband and said, we really wanted to adopt you. We wanted to keep you. And my biological grandmother, my mother's mother, said, oh, I begged her to keep you. I begged her to keep you. And that hurt. These people wanted me. My whole life, I did not feel wanted. I had a job to do. It was like they got me to do a job. It was my job to be their daughter. But these people really wanted me. And it hurt knowing that she didn't want me near her.
There had to be reasons for that. I think it would be difficult. My parents offered to raise my son, but I couldn't imagine being raised, being a sister to my son. I just couldn't see that. No. My parents were older as well, and I didn't. But if I just think it would be difficult. I have a hard time.
And I understand it now, but at the time when you're thrown into, you just land in British Columbia, you just meet your birth mother, you're taken to the hospital you just came home from. Do you know, how many years ago? And then you're in a room full, it was just boom, boom, boom. This wasn't, it was, my head was spinning. And I'm meeting these people, and you're trying to put on this, show, because you don't know if these people are going to reject you or not, and you don't want to be rejected, and this is your blood. But it was it was too overwhelming.
Did you find that you had traits similar to your birth mom?
Yes. We have the same clock, which was pretty cool. We liked the same things. We did little weird things. Yeah, so it was pretty cool. There was no denying, really, that she was my mother. Yeah,
Did,
which I thought was pretty good
did
until
you look
she
alike?
wanted to. Yes. Well, yeah, I think so.
All right. And did she
In
have
her
any more
younger.
children?
No, she did not.
Okay.
She did not.
I think that's telling as well in itself.
Yeah.
And do you continue to associate with her today?
No. Um, so when we first met, I went to BC, then she came to Ontario. When she came to Ontario, she was saying that she didn't like the way that I was raised, and she was telling me to do things differently, and she was trying to re-raise me. She wanted to raise my children, and it just wasn't her place. So there was estrangement. My kids didn't like it. I mean, they didn't even know her, right? It just, I see now where it should have been slower, like, but you're in the emotions, and you're just there. And anyway, she tried to overpower, and that just didn't work. So we were estranged for a while. Also, her husband at the time was not happy that I was taking up some of her time, because again, I was a secret, so he had no idea about me and was not happy. We really didn't have communication. He made it very well known that I wasn't welcome. And then, so we were estranged, and then we got back together. I begged. I had someone pass in my life. I found out her husband had passed. So I thought, okay, well, this is a fresh start. We can start. So I started emailing again, and we connected again. And then it was good. It was because she didn't have anybody else, I think. She was going to come to Ontario and live here. And I thought this was fantastic. So I went to BC and I tried to help her pack up to come here. And then I found out so much. She was lying. I was finding out from her friends things. She was using things against me. It was horrible, horrible, horrible. So I left, and I have never, from December the 6th, 2020, I have not seen her since. But as an adoptee, I can't speak for anybody else. Even though I pushed her away, you still want somebody to want you.
You're
Even
always
if
looking.
it's bad.
Yeah, you're always looking for love, right?
Yes.
And
yes. I am in the
I
wrong
don't.
places sometimes.
I think maybe it's more for adoptees, but I think everybody's looking for love.
Absolutely.
You know,
100%.
we all want somebody there to be there for us and to help us,
Yes.
and they help us grow, right? Love is part of
Yes,
life.
it is.
Okay, so now you said goodbye to your birth mom in 2020. Your adoptive parents, do
They're
they still
deceased.
play a part in your life?
No. Well, they Unfortunately, they are deceased, but yes, they do play a part in my life because they are the ones that programmed me, along with, the world as well. But there's a lot of programming that needs to be unprogrammed now. So I have to take care of my brother. I've never called him anything other than my brother, but now I'm hearing his side. He's 50. I'm now hearing his side of what he heard, and wow. Wow. Yeah. I was like, why did you adopt me? Why? I found a letter once, to my grandmother from my mother. My grandmother, my mother's mother, she was the only person that never treated me like I was adopted. She was beautiful. I didn't have her long I did later in my life, but not really when I was young. We didn't see them that often. But later on, she moved. She moved to Ontario, so she got to see and be with my 3 children. And we had a great relationship. I think that my adoptive mother was very jealous of that. But there was a letter that was found from my adoptive mother to her mother saying, because I was in the will after my mother, like there's so many people and it gets passed down, whoever is still alive. But my brother, I guess I was before my brother in her will. And my mother wrote my grandmother a letter saying, how dare you? She's not even your real granddaughter. And that was in writing. And that was like after I'd given them 3 grandchildren. I looked after her when she had cancer. And it's still there, right? Still in
It's
writing.
still in writing that you are not real.
real. Yeah. The word, she's not real. That haunts you.
And how are you getting over all of that today?
I know I'm real now. And I have had to go back and reparent myself. Still in the process. I think we're always in the process of doing better. So when you know better, you can do better. I have done a lot of counseling. I thought I was failing counseling. I wasn't getting it. There was so much that was stuck that I really didn't understand and didn't have words for, because this happened before I had words. So it was all stuck in my body. So I've had to learn how to release it. My biggest thing was neurofeedback, neurooptimal neurofeedback. I didn't have to use my words. It was all done with sensors that talked directly to the central nervous system. It was calming music that mirrored. It paused when there were loops. And that was I call it my jackhammer, because I was so full of concrete. And it broke up the concrete so that I could see things differently. Now I'm learning to forgive. I'm learning to know that I'm here for a reason. So show me what it is. Let me advocate. Let me help people.
How did you treat your children when they were growing up?
So I had 2 boys and then I had a girl. Honestly, I only ever wanted 1 child. This is a terrible story to tell. It's not nice for the other children, but I thought if you could just have 1 child and give it everything, everything, this 1 child. I had 1 child. I had a boy, and I thought that was great. I was going to teach this boy to be great with women and, just be a lovely boy, because I thought another girl in the world because of the trauma that I had. I just didn't want another girl to be going through this trauma. Beautiful son. We were close, but there's just something. There was something there that stopped me. I can't explain it. I loved him. I'll do anything for them. But he didn't seem real. It didn't seem, I just can't explain it.
I always felt like there's this wall of concrete blocks around my heart. Since my son was born and given away, that you don't want to feel because it can hurt.
I don't feel like a mother. It's weird. I want to do more. I think that I need to overdo everything, even though my children say I'm a great mom. Like, I hear it. I just don't believe it.
I'm the same. I think the heartbreak, we really don't want it anymore, and we're afraid to let go and do things. I have 2 children that I love dearly, but sometimes you just hold back.
Yeah. I think I'm scared to push, because they may push me away. But I have pushed them away. I have put men over my children that I am not proud of at all. I thought that I needed someone to take care of me. I've proven myself wrong. But I did. I put other people over me and my children. And I always saw other people like they were better than I was. Like, I was on this low, I was the feeder, the bottom of the fish tank. I was just getting the scraps or whatever was left I would take. I'm very good at taking anything. I can make something look good out of nothing. You had to survive. But I know I'm a mom. I love my children. I'll do anything. As soon as they know that, they know. But I've had to go back now. And I did. I didn't have to, but I did, because I found myself at a gravesite crying and asking why. And I didn't want that. I didn't want my kids to. I didn't want the cycle to continue. So I went to my children and I said sorry for the things that I could remember that I thought might have hurt them, but not given them a reason why I did it, just to say sorry. And an open conversation that if there's anything that they need for me to be sorry for, or a conversation that's something that I can't remember that needs to be done, I just don't want that burden left on them. And that has transformed our relationships now as adults.
Did your children know that you had been adopted and that as they were growing up?
They knew only because of the words of what was being, remember, it was, it was a common word. She's adopted. She's our it's because she was adopted. The stories that they would tell my kids about me, if I was bad, it was because she was adopted. Oh, she did that. Well, because she was adopted was an excuse. It was like a drug addict, or, it was because of that. Adoption to me was not a good thing. It was an excuse. It was a reason why someone did something bad. It was a bad thing.
And all the relationships that you've had for 50 years were based
Other,
on your need for
so
someone.
yeah, I took the first person that ever came by that showed interest. I didn't date. It was like, okay, the first person that asked me out, okay, now I got to stick with this person no matter what. Right? It was like this attachment, like you just had to attach and you had to deal with it, and that was it. And there was nothing else better. And then that relationship didn't work. And then, and then there's others. But now that I can get away from it, and now I can stand back and really look at my patterns, I understand what I was doing. And I am learning love from watching my son love. And now he is engaged and he's getting married. And I'm so proud of the way that this man has turned out from all of this, because, and yes, he had some bad relationships growing up, don't get me wrong, but he didn't marry it, right? He didn't,
Right.
he knew enough, and he's taken his time, and she brings out the very best in him. She really does. And it's not perfect, but I see, and I'm learning from my children of what love is and what to accept and what not to accept, which is, I think it's pretty cool and a full circle.
Full circle.
Yeah.
What would you say to adoptees today to let them know, tell them about your experience and how to adjust to it?
You're here for a reason, and you are real, you are strong, you are loved. And look deep inside and be who you want to be. Don't people please.
And what advice do you give to adoptive parents?
Talk to your children, let them talk to you, and let your children be who they're meant to be. And just love them and answer their questions. I would love to see in adoption, I would love to see babies coming with, you come home from the hospital with stuff. So why can't you come home with the birth mother, a shirt that the birth mother wore, with her scent on it? And, the adoptive parents can be wearing the shirt or holding it or whatever when you're feeding the child, talking to the child. Why not have like a voice of a book that maybe you read to the child when the child was in utero, and have that, and then the adopted parents start reading the book, but they have that audio. We know now, science says that babies in the womb, we feel things, we sync with your heartbeat, we digest the food that you're eating, the emotions that you're going through, everything. We feel it. We are one. We are part of this. So how do you think that we're not going to feel anything afterwards? We are feeling machines. And your child is going to come as a blessing, and they're coming with trauma. So please, go and heal your trauma first. This is not a fix. A child is not a fix. Heal your trauma and just love the child. Just answer questions. Just let that child be who they're meant to be.
So you bring that up about the feelings, and that the child in you, the baby, grows to know you and have the same feelings that you're going through, the same foods, the same voices all the time. Last week's episode had to do with surrogacy. Do you feel that a mother with a surrogate child growing in her goes through the same things and would go through the same feeling of abandonment at the time of birth when it goes to their parents?
I know genetics would be different because it's not, right? The surrogates
It's not the surrogate's egg.
Sperm,
Right.
like it
Right.
has nothing to do with them. But the whole thing is the incubation period, right? Like that's the whole thing. And I can't see that there would be any difference. Even we're not even talking about adoption or surrogacy. I noticed a difference. My first son, when he was born, he had to be in an incubator, so we could only touch him, like through the gloves in the incubator. But I was there constant. I mean, I remember falling asleep in the chair, holding it, like holding his little hand. But that's abandonment. I mean, they're not feeling you, right? They're not. What about unfortunately, mothers pass, right? Having childbirth. And so any kind of that, how old you are, no matter what, it's going to hurt. There's going to be abandonment wounds.
Interesting. Like I have to say that doing this, I've learned so much that I never even expected, things that you don't think about on a daily basis. And all these things are coming out. And this process is amazing to me that it's come to this.
And the surrogacy. So I believe, and again, I'm not, not a lot of knowledge on this, but they're going through it. I mean, that parent right from the beginning. I mean, so they're choosing the egg, they're choosing the person, they're choosing everything. Where adoption, I think, is a little bit different, right? I mean, you don't know. Some people do know. Okay, they're going along with this, right from the beginning. But some people, they get a call saying, "Oh, there's a baby," and go pick up this baby. So there's no preparation other than we want a child, but they don't know when the child's coming. Right. So they're all different. I can't imagine your point of view as well, Janet. I mean, your side, you've instilled some healing in me to understand the other side, right, of giving up a child as well. Because when I talked to my birth mother, that didn't go over very well. She didn't really want to talk about it too much. And, so said it wasn't her fault. And it wasn't, it was her choice. She had no idea, right, that I would be going into a home that was being abused. I mean, I just think there should have been a little bit more screening, do a blood test. He was an alcoholic.
But back then there wasn't as much as there is today, right? There wasn't the knowledge. We didn't have internet. We didn't have Google searches and all that to find everything out that we could. No AI like we do today. So it's a completely different world that we're growing up in and that our children grow up in today.
100%. And I mean, even just adoptions and, people are going overseas to go and get children as well, right? Like it's very sad. It's happening. So let's make it better. We can't stop it. I mean, there's a lot of people that want to stop it. They say, adoption is no good, but it's going to happen. It's happening. So how can we make it better? We'll accept it. And, I'm a product of it. And how could it have been better?
How could it be better today?
Yeah.
So who are you today?
I 2 years ago took back my maiden name because I thought I was going to just do me all over again. And I had to stand back in my power of going back to who I knew I was. So I am a real girl. I am a mom of 3 beautiful children, and I am adopted, and I am real, but I am still here, and I want to help the world, and I made it for a reason. I'm 58, I'm here, I made it for a reason. If my story can help somebody, if I can help people somehow, I would love to do that.
And what does your future hold?
My future holds a wedding in October that I'm very, very excited about, and
That's
nervous
really
about. And my future is bright. I don't know what my future holds, but whatever it is, it will be good.
Okay. I think you have a great story, and I really appreciate you telling it today. So when I started Roots and Branches, my hope was that each episode would make a difference to one person that heard it, make them feel that they were not alone. But I've learned that telling their story is part of the healing process for those who are my guests. Just telling their story with no judgment, no shame, is life-changing. So thank you, Charmaine, for reminding us that words spoken to children do not disappear. A single sentence, "You are not real," shaped how Charmaine saw herself for decades. Children believe what adults tell them. And when adoptees are made to feel different, less important, or unwanted, those wounds don't simply vanish when they grow up. Many carry them into relationships, into parenting, into every part of their lives. But Charmaine's story is also proof that healing is possible, that the cycle can stop. The children who grow up feeling invisible can eventually learn that they do matter, that they are worthy of love, and that they are absolutely real. So maybe the lesson today is this: adoption itself is not the trauma. The silence, the rejection, the shame, and the secrecy are. So to every adoptee listening today who has ever questioned their worth, you are real, you matter, and your story deserves to be heard. I'm Janet Monroe, and this is Roots and Branches Adoption Stories here on KFred Radio. You can reach me at 615-870-6433 when you are ready to tell your story. Until next time.